Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Dunmarcos, thank you for coming here today. You've just received a number of questions about your ability to vet unaccompanied minors, to respond to the overwhelming demand on your office to address what is a significant problem. I'm just going to ask you first, what are the very specific requests you would have in order to be able to, for your office to do its job to its fullest capability? What can Congress do for you?
Thank you, Congressman. I think one of the issues that we are here about today is what happens to the children after they leave our care. I think the children are safe and well cared for while they are with ORR, and we do everything possible to release them to a well-vetted sponsor, and again, 85% close or immediate family members. I think one of the things that we appreciate Congress's support in expanding our post-release services. Post-release services are an opportunity for professional staff to continue to support the child, the sponsor, the whole household, making sure that the child is connected with services, making sure that the child is attending school, making sure that the child does not fall into exploitative situations that we have seen reported. So I think continued support in expanding post-release services and legal services are critical to providing care for these children after they leave our custodial authority.
It's interesting to me that that's the number one request you have. On March 24th, my Democratic colleagues and I submitted an appropriations request specifically to build additional capacity and strengthen ORR's post-release services for all unaccompanied children, and I hope my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will support that request, because I think we all are concerned, or at least should be concerned, about unaccompanied minors coming into the country and providing the services that they need. One of the things you mentioned is the legal services, and as a former, I guess, current present lawyer as well, I am very concerned about representation of these unaccompanied minors, and even more so, a process that addresses the peculiar needs, especially the emotional needs, where you often have very, very young children who do not speak English, who go before judges for adjudication of some sort. Can you offer some thoughts on how that process could be improved?
Thank you, Congressman. ORR has been working with grantees and partners to do everything possible to make sure that children have representation pro bono, if not available. It is critical to making sure that the children have their rights protected, that they make sure that they understand the immigration process, they show up for their hearings. Again, the post-release, so the post-release services, which not only do we want to expand to 100% by the end of 2024, but also legal services, those are the most critical services that we can provide these children to keep them out of harm's way after release from our care.
The other thought is, and a colleague of mine, Congresswoman Skolton, and I have made a recommendation along these lines, and I'm curious what your thought is to have a separate court, essentially, a separate part of the court that is solely designed to address the needs of unaccompanied minors, so that we have judges with expertise in those areas. We have the wraparound services provided there. Can you describe whether you think that would be successful, or perhaps another recommendation you would have to address the specific needs of unaccompanied minors?
Congressman, I think anything that can be done to support the unique and complex needs of these children is welcome.
And then finally, I know my time's about out, but when you are addressing the unaccompanied minors that come in, can you break down what the sort of most common situation is that how they find themselves to be unaccompanied minors coming into the country?
Thank you, Congressman. It's a great question. Many of the children are fleeing gang violence. Many of them have unique and complex situations. I can tell you about one child who diagnosed with a terminal illness, was given 2 to 4 months to live, took the journey to the U.S. so he could join his mother and sisters. Our team worked hard to get them reunited. He spent the last 6 months of his life in home with his mom and sisters. Another young adult who was gang raped by gang members reported it to the police, and that brought on greater heat from the gang and targeting of her and her family. And she made the decision to leave for her safety and joined an aunt and is doing well. But they're very complex, and many of them are heartbreaking. And the professional staff at ORR and our partners do everything we can to provide comprehensive services once they're referred into our care.
Well, thank you for all of the work you're doing. You're dealt with a really difficult situation, and I yield back.